If you wanted a glass of water, you would go to the glass that is set aside for African people. They did not drink off the same cups as us.
They would say things like, how could he share a bed with me? Things like that I've got dirty blood.
I know now that it was actual fully blown racism.
We met at church.
I remember asking her to sing me a song that I did not know, and that is how I got your number. We were in band together.
Yeah, we were volunteering and all of that, but not paying attention
We really
to each
didn't.
other.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, we spoke, and then
And it was
history.
It was a disagreement on that day, which was the 2nd of January.
So when little boys at school like pick on a girl, that's what he was doing. So he was being sarcastic. I was like doing my own thing, staying in my lane. And then eventually he messaged me, and since then we never stopped talking.
Officially asked her out March 17th
In 2017.
in 2017.
Yes.
6 months later, I proposed to her in October. And then
6 months later, we
6 months later, we got married to the date that I asked her out on the 17th of March. And then 6 months later, we fell pregnant. I come from a very staunch, 100% pedigree Indian bloodline. I am the first of my kind to step out of the bloodline to marry outside of an Indian custom. It was very difficult for me to navigate their thoughts, also knowing full well growing up that they did not like African people. Although we lived in an African-dominated area, but the mere fact that African person never slept in our house, was never part of our bloodline or our relationships. I didn't hide the fact that Pam was of African descent or that she was colored or mixed race. I just didn't tell them. I don't see the need to tell them because I didn't see race. I speak fluent Zulu and some Xhosa, which for me, I don't see it. I don't wake up in the morning and I'm shocked. Wait, I've got an African woman across my bed. I don't get shocked by that. It doesn't affect me. Like how would it affect my family? It took them adjusting because they don't get it. For them, they never married for love. Historically, Indian people were arranged marriage and they just decided to get married and that is it. But when here, I don't think there was so much love involved in the courting and the relationships. And I think that came with time. But having someone who found love and identified it and went with it in the today day and age was difficult for them to navigate. So it's not that I hid Pam away. I took her the very next month after us dating, but I just didn't tell her that Pam was black. Like, it didn't make a difference to me, to the point where my mom called me and said to me that she's black. I'm like, yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised, but she's Pam. I introduced you to Pam, not that Pam was black. That was never part of the question. You want to know who I'm dating? I'm dating Pam. That's it.
I myself had not experienced any kind of racism or discrimination for as long as I've been alive, My family has all sorts of colors in it. My mother is colored in black, so color never occurred to me. So it gave me tough skin. To meet his family, I came in open-hearted. I was excited to meet everyone. Yes, of course, I wasn't oblivious to the fact that there may be some backlash. But I think what caught me off guard is the intensity of that backlash when I was in the family now. Because I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I have done nothing. You are having a problem with me over something that I cannot change. And everything from that point on, whether we were in family gatherings, whatever the case was, I always kept in mind that I am here for him. I had to learn very quickly to ignore whatever negativity may come my way.
I couldn't understand why it was so taboo for me to be in a relationship with someone who was African. My family had separate cutlery, crockery, plates, cups that they had kept underneath the kitchen sink in case an African person asked them for something. If you wanted a glass of water, you would go to the glass that was set aside for African people. They did not drink off the same cups as us. We do not dish food for African people in our plates that we will eat. Why, I'm not 100% sure of. But I know now. Back then, I did not know why. Nor did I care to understand it because I was still living under my parents' roof and under their regime. But when I was able to identify for myself, I know now that it was actual fully blown racism. And it's disgusting to think about that's how some people still behave today.
They would say things like, how could he share a bed with me? Things like that I've got dirty blood. It would be things like, why whenever I'm coming over, I'm just sitting down on the couch as opposed to serving and doing the dishes and, kind of insinuating that, Black people are associated with domestic work.
Oftentimes they'll ask me and they'll just commit different words to me saying, are you sure you're into data? Don't you know all African people jowl? All Black women jowl? Are you sure she's not going to be jolling with the neighbor?
I think it's also, though, important to note that it was not everyone.
It really was not.
It wasn't everyone because I don't want it to just be about, oh, your family is so terrible. Yes, terrible things have been said, but I think the majority of the time, especially from like your siblings, I've been welcomed, I've been accepted. It's not everyone. I've never had a situation, I'm just saying like outside of the family, etc. The most we've received is like stares, because
and confusion.
Our children look so different. When Jordan's just walking with Sebs, it's like you can see people try to make the connection like, oh, okay. Or if I'm walking with Luca, people are like, oh, what's happening there? But I can't say it affected me, to be honest. It hasn't. But I feel like, again, what I had to learn very quickly when I did fall pregnant for the first time is that there seemed to be a lot of conversation around what this baby would look like. And I mean, it's not because anybody said it directly to me, but the way in which, the baby was being spoken about made it come across as if, the family was very concerned with what this baby would look like. And I think everybody was surprised when Jordan came. Jordan is our daughter. She was very light. So, and it was a shock even to me.
Like when I saw that, I was like...
And then I felt, but at the same time, we laugh now, but it's also kind of sad because it's like when she came, everybody was able, or should I say his family was able to like take a breath, like, oh, but it wasn't like the type of breath that I would appreciate, to be honest, because it's known in like Indian culture, the color of your skin matters. So that's what I kept in mind. And also I didn't understand how, from the same family, or should I say the family members, the individuals that would have a problem with me, would now all of a sudden be so obsessed with this baby that came from me. It's like, How can you like one and not the other? Why we have lasted this long, I've always said this, is the fact that it didn't feel like it was Pam against the Reddy family, especially like, the extended, etc. Because he always let it be known that, look, Pam is the one I'm with. If you don't like it, you deal with it. It's your problem, but this is how it is going forward. So he's always defended me. I've actually never had to say anything directly to anyone because he would always step in the gap and sort it out with that family member. And he's even cut family members off, because of just the intensity and the things that would be said, over something that I literally cannot change. And what's mind-boggling, and when you think of how stupid racism is because a lot of his family members, if you had to put our hands together and take a picture, you wouldn't be able to tell which hand belongs to Pam.
Literally,
So
we are of the same complexion.
If you had to grab our hands and take a picture of our hands, you wouldn't be able to tell which hand belongs to Pam. So it was shocking.
I grew up in an African-dominated area. Everything about me screams Ubuntu. It's so weird. I love the cuisine. I love the people. I love the language. So for me personally, in my bloodline, I might be the only person who is very integrated in Ubuntu. So for me, that's okay. I'm good at that because it's part of who I am. I don't identify outside of that. I identify as Sebastian. That's it.
In the events where there were assumptions made about my capabilities in our marriage, I never ever had the opportunity to express that directly because I would only hear of things after the fact. So what we have done really is just continue living because the proof will always be in the pudding. So I stuck around. Nothing that was said ever stuck to me too long, especially because I knew I had full confidence in Sebastian to protect what we have.
I have a fear about raising my daughter and son. I have a fear having Jordan, who is much lighter skinned than I am, a beautiful mixed colored race baby, and I'm Indian and have to walk with her in a public space, and the way people look at me. Yes, you can call me dad, which is fine, great, but at this point, anyone thinks anyone could call anyone dad. But that's my fear for Jordan. For Luca, on the other hand, with Pam, we've had cases where people will just do this.
Because you'll be like, and Luca, to paint a picture, is exactly like, you can take me out of the picture, you wouldn't know that I was his mother, you wouldn't.
The copy and paste
So
me.
when they call out to us in public, people will be like, look at me, look at him, look at me.
And they want another relation. So that's my fear also, is that sometimes people are going to assume the wrong things because people's mindset in today's day and age is shocking.
My advice would be to always remain a team. We hear it all the time, but it works. We hear it because it works. And because we stayed solid and together, it didn't matter what happened in the outside world. And what I had to learn, because that will happen, it will be you as a couple against people. But even when it comes to Pam versus Sebs, I had to learn for myself to not allow the small things to erode I'm still learning as well. Because sometimes, yes, it's Pam and Sebs versus everybody else, but sometimes it's also the two of us. In our disagreements, I've had to learn that my mouth can be vicious. And what I say, has the ability to crush whatever we are standing on. I'm not a good communicator. I had to learn how to do that. And I think the everyday choosing to communicate well and not push each other away subconsciously or not helps as well.
Yeah. Empty vessels make a lot of noise. So if you want to have an unhealthy, unhappy relationship, involve everyone you want. And I always say, if you meet someone on the dance floor, they're going to make you dance all your life. So it's the same thing. It's a concept of involving noise. It's always going to be loud. So choose. I think every lesson that we have learned along the way has made us who we are today. I think 7 years into our marriage and 9 years together that we know each other, longevity is important. Longevity comes with experience. Experience comes with going through things. I think we have gone through a lot, and the lessons are different in every timeline. The lessons from racism to raising children to raising toddlers, and now we're going into the schooling era. We are learning as we go along. I wouldn't change anything for the world. I wouldn't. Racism is stupid, and our families need to understand the guardrails that we put up and the rules that we've put in place and how we interact and how we talk, especially with our kids being in the picture and how we want people to see us. We don't want people to see us as, oh, here's Black and Indian. No, we are Pam and Sebastian. That's it.